We had several humans on our ship, but only one worked in engineering, and she irked me at first. Nina wasn't horrible, it was just little things. She seemed to always be moving and made noises, tapping her fingernails on her stylus against things, repetitive and irritating. She called it fidgeting. To her credit, she did switch to silent fidgeting when I told her how distracting it was. Also, she tended towards an excess of what I was told was regular human friendliness, which consisted of filling silences whenever they occurred, discussing what she was making for dinner, or something she had talked about that morning with another crew member, or gossip. Inane topics. But again, it didn't take very long for her to realize my lack of interest. As far as new crew members go, Nina wasn't really that bad. In retrospect, I never worked in close quarters with a human, and once I adjusted to all her quirks, she didn't bother me as much. She did, in fact, come up with something rather clever. The captain was discussing an upgrade to the system software with me, and Nina realized that my emotional context wasn't coming across. After I told her that I generally included things here and there as I spoke to explain my feelings, she knew that must be annoying as she proposed a solution. I'm of average height for the crew, but that's where our similarities end. My body language is discernible to other Junipath, but there are only 2 others on the research vessel. The rest of my crewmates don't pick up on things. They describe me as flat, which is, well, accurate. I don't have ears that twitch, or skin that shifts tones or eyes or antenna or anything else. Most species have something. Nina had actually had an item to compare me to, saying that to humans, I look a flat bicolored gummy worm with arms and legs. She told me this upon first meeting me, continuing, "And everyone loves gummy worms, so I'm sure you're awesome." It was only later I realized it wasn't an animal. Rather, it was a human snack. But by then, I wasn't too off-put by the comparison to a beloved sugary candy. Her idea was to put a tablet at a height where a face would go on an average species. Then we'd program in a few dozen facial expressions and link it to the same chip that controlled my translator, since that interfaced with my brain to a certain extent for verbal context. It was clever, and instinctive to hold in place, just like I held many objects anywhere on my body throughout the day. I'd often forget it was there until I got back to my room and saw myself in the mirror. I didn't tell anyone that I startled myself quite badly by simply walking into the bathroom. Twice. It was a curious thing, though. One day, when we had all finished our work and were leaving engineering, Nina called me over and asked if everything was okay. "What do you mean?" I asked. "You just seem off," she told me. I noticed her gaze was taking in the others in the room as they left, and her voice was quieter than normal, like she was attempting to be subtle and didn't want to be overheard. "Your body language isn't always matching the tablet." "My body language?" I asked. Baffled, I hesitated. "You can read my body language?" "Well, yeah. I've worked with you for quite a while now. I asked the captain at lunch, but she said she hadn't noticed you acting any different. I didn't know so many of the crew don't notice anything about your emotional state. It's kind of weird, especially after we started using the tablet." "But you said the tablet wasn't matching my body language," I said slowly. "Oh, yeah. I meant that my mind's practically been training itself now. Your face goes along with your body language and my brain matches it up," Nina explained. "It's practically cheating." I was a bit stunned. What have you noticed?" When you're happy, you're more upright and swingy. Your shoulders get tight if you're annoyed," she said, mimicking what she'd seen. "And if you're sad, you kind of..." Nina slumped her shoulders and tried to make them wider, moving her arm stiffly out, but struggled with it, since she was biologically unable to accomplish what she wanted to. It was a bit amusing, and she noticed the expression on the tablet, which at that point was accurate. She stopped, giggling. Sorry, but yeah, it's subtle, but there's a bunch of little stretches and movements that... Basically, I'm just asking if you're okay. The thing was, I really wasn't okay. And the tablet had been helping me pass through the day without anyone noticing. I pasted on a plain smile, a nice default that I often went to, and just carried on with my work. It let me get along with my work, per usual, without bothering anyone and without them bothering me, but it seemed one crew member had noticed. Of course, it would be quirky Nina. At that, I finally let go of the artificial mood I'd been projecting, allowing the tablet to go to a morose expression. Sort of. Not really. She paused. Do you want to talk about it? It's just things back home, I told her. My wife injured her leg. A piece of machinery malfunctioned at work. She'll recover, but for now it's difficult to walk and her body's healing. So she's tired. She has to take off 3 months from work. Nina's eyes widened. Oh, geez, that's horrible. I'm sorry. Don't you two have, 4 kids? I nodded. Yes. They're trying not to be as difficult as they normally are, I say, humorously. But they're children. Luckily, we have friends and relatives who will stop by occasionally to help. And I'm going to hire a housekeeper to come twice a week. We can manage that. You aren't planning to go home? I can't. We can't afford losing my income as well, since she's not going to be working for 3 months. Nina's face scrunched. Wait, you said it was equipment at work that injured her. Shouldn't they be paying for as much time off as she needs? She exclaimed. They're claiming it's her fault for equipment misuse, I explained, which made Nina's eyes bulge. The lawyer said he's sure we can get them to reimburse the money she's losing, but that will take time. Legal things always take time. And the one thing we can't do right now is have me also take 3 months off work. I'm only eligible for 2 weeks paid leave. I'll take it in a month or so. At this point, I wasn't sure why I was spilling all this information to Nina, but she seemed to genuinely care, and I hadn't yet had a chance to vent my complaints to my friends back home. That's such bullshit, Nina muttered, shaking her head in disapproval. It's life, I lamented. We'll get through it, like we always do. I know, but it still sucks, she smirked. I nodded agreeably. It does. Well, how about we go to the cafeteria? You can get all your favourite foods, get something nice for dessert. My treat. I blinked at her, but everything in the cafeteria is free. Like I said, she told me cheerfully, my treat. Laughing, I nodded. All right, your treat. Whatever I want, I won't hold back. That's the spirit.